They sold us a dream, but what arrived was a nightmare. You were told this was the greatest World Cup in history. The biggest. The most inclusive. FIFA spent hundreds of millions making sure you believed that. Polished commercials. A president at podium after podium telling the world that 2026 would change football forever. He was right. Just not in the way he meant. Because right now, while the cameras focus on the pitch, something else is happening. Something the cameras are not allowed to show you. Empty seats are not the story. Empty seats are just the symptom. The real war, the one that will determine who controls football for the next 50 years, is being fought in offices underneath those stadiums, in closed boardrooms in Nyon, Switzerland. And in the story of one referee from Mogadishu who sources close to UEFA describe not as a victim, but as a symbol, a deliberate symbol, chosen carefully, deployed at exactly the right moment. Stay with this, because what we are about to show you has not been reported anywhere else. FIFA told the world this tournament would generate $11 billion. Then the numbers started leaking. Ticket prices raised 34% across 90 of 114 matches. A World Cup final ticket listed on FIFA's own platform at over $2 million. Attorneys general in New York and New Jersey issuing formal subpoenas. 80% of American host city hotels reporting bookings below forecast. FIFA quietly returning 70% of its block-booked rooms. European airline bookings to the US down 14% in a year, when the dollar is weaker and the trip should be cheaper. Sources inside the hospitality industry described the wave that was supposed to arrive with one word: non-event. The gap between what was promised and what arrived is now so vast that insiders are privately asking a question that would have been unthinkable 2 years ago. Has FIFA permanently destroyed its relationship with the fans who made this sport worth $11 billion? The empty seats in Guadalajara on day one were not a transportation problem. They were the answer. Written in vacant red plastic, broadcast to every television audience on Earth. But here is what nobody is connecting. The financial collapse of the 2026 World Cup atmosphere is not an accident. According to sources close to several European football federations, it is an outcome, one that certain powerful institutions on the European continent watched arrive, and did very little to prevent. Think about that carefully. Now, Omar Artan, you know the surface of the story, a Somali referee. FIFA accreditation, valid visa, 11 hours at Miami airport, questioned about Al-Shabaab, sent home. FIFA's response, 5 words. We are not involved. FIFA's president's response to the public, chill and relax. That is the story you were told. Here is what the story actually is. Artan is 34, born in Mogadishu. FIFA International list since 2018, CAF Referee of the Year 2025, one of 50 tools selected for the 2026 World Cup. He carried a diplomatic passport, a valid visa, everything he needed. None of it was enough. But sources close to UEFA's inner circle describe the response as anything but spontaneous. It was not emotional. It was not a reaction. It was a statement, prepared, deliberate, released at a moment chosen for maximum impact, hours before the World Cup officially opened. When every camera in football was pointed at FIFA, UEFA President Seferin's words were surgical. Football is made to connect people. UEFA wants to show its respect to Omar and his outstanding officiating skills, which had earned him such a prestigious nomination. That final phrase is not diplomatic language. That is a direct institutional declaration that FIFA's hosting model had failed, delivered on the day FIFA most needed the world looking at its tournament. Sources go further. According to insiders across multiple European football bodies, Artan's Super Cup appointment was not a standalone gesture. It was part of a coordinated strategy involving UEFA, CAF, and senior executives representing major European clubs, months in the making. The goal was precise. On the opening day of FIFA's 2026 World Cup, show the world who actually represents football's values. This was not a sympathy gesture. This was a demonstration of power. 8 UEFA delegates walked out of a FIFA Council meeting earlier this year, not in protest. According to sources, in preparation, the 174,000 Dutch citizens who signed a petition asking their national team not to attend did not organize themselves. They were given a platform. The boycott conversations that forced the German Football Association to hold a formal executive meeting were not spontaneous eruptions of fan frustration. They were pressure, applied deliberately, from above. Pressure toward what? The answer circulating in football's most powerful corridors would split the sport in two. Sources who have spoken with club executives and federation presidents across Europe describe a plan taking shape, an alternative global tournament, independent of FIFA's structure, controlled by UEFA and the world's biggest clubs. Some call it a Super World Cup. Others use more careful language, a restructured international calendar, an alternative global platform, but the meaning is the same. FIFA's World Cup monopoly can be broken, and 2026 just showed everyone how fragile that monopoly actually is. The economic argument has never been stronger. The clubs whose players fill those matches receive a fraction of $11 billion. The fans whose passion makes those tickets worth $2 million on the resale market received 34% price hikes and empty VIP sections built for corporate delegates who never showed up. North America's organizational failure, the pricing collapse, the access barriers, the culture gap, has handed European football the most powerful argument it has ever had. Football does not belong to an organization whose president responds to institutional crisis with the words chill and relax. That argument is being made right now, in rooms you will never be invited into, by people whose names will not appear in press releases. 2026 may be the last World Cup as we have known it. That is not a prediction. That is what sources across European football federations, major club ownership groups, and one continental governing body are privately saying. The structure that produced this tournament is not sustainable. And the institutions with the power to replace it are no longer waiting for FIFA to reform itself. They are building the alternative. Omar Artan walks onto the pitch in Salzburg on August 12th as the first African referee ever to lead a major UEFA final. That is history. But according to those who understand what it represented, it was also a message to FIFA, to every federation watching from the outside, unable to send their fans, unable to protect their officials, unable to trust the organization running the world game. The message was this: there is another way, and we are already building it. So here is the question: who will save football? FIFA, the organization that said chill and relax while its own referees sat in a holding cell. Europe, the continent with the financial power and institutional will to replace the current structure entirely. Or Omar Artan, the man from Mogadishu who carried a lifetime of work through an airport corridor at midnight and came out the other side as the symbol of everything this fight is actually about. Drop your answer below. Like the video, subscribe. We are covering this story all the way to the end. Because 2026 is not just a tournament. It is the moment the old structure of world football began to crack. And what comes through that crack will define the game for the next generation. Football is never just a tournament, it is a choice about who the game belongs to. And right now that choice has never been more urgent.